crying a little.
Yoga.
I wanted to speak on this situation with Dr. Mumbi and the video that she put out that was a rant video labeled "I'm sorry." After listening to it, because it was 7 minutes long, it kind of reminds me of some of the things that Ami McClure said, and some of the things that she said is not shocking. I've heard it before from certain African people, and also some people who are from the Caribbean, people from Haiti, people from Jamaica, saying similar things about African Americans that she did say. But she ended up doing interviews with WODE Maya and OSHAY Duke Jackson, and a lot of people in the comment section were not nice. They had something to say, and it was because with Mr. Maya, he has a Chinese girlfriend, and with everything the Chinese are doing in Africa, you can kind of understand like people from Africa and those who are not, but they're seeing it and hearing about it. You can be like, really? You would have a Chinese partner knowing what these people are doing? And then with OSHAY Duke Jackson, everybody knows that he is an African American woman basher. He talks about African American women. I do believe he said something about going to Africa and finding him an African woman. So he makes this difference between African women and African American women. But I put him in the same boat that I put Tommy Sotomayor, Tariq Nasheed, and also Phil from the Advice Show. Because if you go back and listen to their videos, they were bashing women as well. They were all on that same train. It's just that Tommy Sotomayor topped them all, and he took that whole lane for himself because there was an issue with him and Phil from the Advice Show. He called him out for trying to do what he was doing, and Phil ended up changing course and being on this black first tip, which has been more lucrative for him. And OSHAY, he really couldn't get in that lane because really Tommy Sotomayor and Tariq Nasheed was dominating that lane, but Tommy came out on top. And a lot of this is really coming full circle because I remember in reporting about Tommy Sotomayor that a lot of the black women that he says watches him, they're foreign black women. I'm going to look in the comments section just to see what people were saying. But when she did this interview, it was like she was shocked by what was being said in the comment section. But if you are talking about unity among the diaspora of black people, which I didn't know about her, she popped up in my timeline because I watch black YouTubers and also black YouTubers who are Bible believers and speak on that. So that's why she popped up. I started watching it. I thought it was news about Africa. It's a little bit of that, but he also presents unity among the diaspora. So it was shocking to see, what was said in this video, knowing that she is speaking to black people who believe they are the people of the Bible, and that a lot of these people believe that you are supposed to marry within your own tribe. That if you're marrying other women like Chinese women, white women, Hispanic women, anything other than black women, that you're marrying a strange woman, and you're not supposed to do that at all. And it is to be expected that there would be pushback over someone who's saying they're so for black people and the unity of black people and the rise of specifically Africa. But him saying he's so pro-black, but he's dating a Chinese female when the Chinese is wreaking havoc within Africa, doing the same thing that the U.S. does. Now, she said that there was name calling of Africans, and so-called enlightened African Americans were calling people coons. Her channel isn't for everybody. Let you know, everything was basically blamed on African American people. She said that, you know, all of the negative comments, all of the negativity, all of the coon comments, name calling comments, and somehow she said she knew it was African Americans, it was coming from African Americans. She didn't present any proof. She didn't present any receipts, but she said she knew. And I believe that she says she knew because she says African people don't talk like that. We don't speak like that. We're not ignorant like that. They don't, you know, they're not disrespectful like that. And basically labeling African Americans as we are ignorant. This is how we are, and we're disrespectful. It's just like with Amy McClure, we have no culture. We are disrespectful to elders. And I've heard a couple of other choice words from people who are foreign black people. And she said that my channel isn't for everybody. So when she established that she is talking to African Americans, she's saying that my channel isn't for everybody, and it may not be for you, which is a clear message to African American people. If you use the word coon, you know, she was really on that word coon, which personally I don't use that word. The reason why is because I know where it comes from. A lot of white people will use it, and I don't want to use that word, but I don't block people who use it. Now, if it's really disrespectful, I will remove the comment, but I don't block people for thinking someone is a coon. But I find it very funny for someone who sticks to their guns and say they don't like that word, that she was fine going on the advice show with a host that has used that word and being in front of an audience that frequently uses the word coon. And maybe it's okay because they usually say it about African American people and not Africans, so maybe that's why it was okay. She does not want people with bad manners. Again, I've heard that before. And she said that she's blocked thousands. And she said that she doesn't want to hear people complaining about using the word Yah or Yahuwah, Yahweh instead of God. But a lot of people who push that is coming from a certain place, and if you are presenting yourself to the public, you have to understand you're going to be hit in a million different directions with a lot of information, and you have to have the temperament to be able to take that in and then respond responsibly with your platform and with your words, because you never know what you're saying, especially if you are taking up this mantle, bringing together the most highest people. You have to be very sure you're going to do that, because there are consequences if you mistreat or discourage his children. I don't think that it's a bad thing because people are saying, well, I'd rather you use Yah or Elohim, because the Most High himself will have us you know, saying his real name. He doesn't want to be called by the names of all these other fake gods. So I can understand where people are getting that from. She said, concerning the biblical text, we are not here to argue. And that sounds like something that you would hear out of the Christian church. And you are told to question what you're being fed. You are supposed to watch your back in these days, because there are so many deceiving spirits and deceiving people with their deceptive hearts, that you are supposed to question everyone and everything, and you are supposed to seek the Most High. So for her to say that arguing, it's not arguing. People have the right to question what you're trying to feed them, because the Most High told them to. There's too many deceiving spirits and deceiving people. And if you can't handle that, maybe this is not what you should be doing, because not everybody is called to do it. No, not everybody can handle it. And she said that her channel is a dictatorship and not a democracy. And it's interesting because she talks about dictators in Africa and how they are contributing to the negative effects in Africa. So to use that word, I side-eye that. And also, I feel like, you know, saying that it's a dictatorship and not a democracy, seeing how African American people live in a democracy, she was firing shots at African American people. She said, if you don't have manners, if you think you shouldn't move to Africa, if you don't like Africans, maybe you shouldn't be on her channel. But with what has happened in our history and the selling of our people, you can't have a nasty attitude by people who are skittish of moving back or going back, because I believe the adult thing and the intelligent thing to say about that to people who are saying no, you shouldn't go, or they have this negative idea about going back, is to tell them that maybe your first consultant should be the Most High, because the Most High will be the one to tell you when and where you should go to be safe. He is going to look after his children. That would be the adult thing to say. That would be the intelligent thing to say. Not to go on this nasty negative rant, if we're coming from a Bible believing perspective. I can understand how people would have a problem with Mr. Maya, with his Chinese girlfriend. Personally, I don't think you can call yourself pro-black or be the face of it or be propped up, because, you know, there should be a standard to being pro-black, if that's the lane you want to get into. I personally am not in that lane, but it should be all black everything, down to the spouse and the children. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but I think people who are non-black and those who have non-black spouses, they can still assist and help, of course, but they can't be the face propped up on the platform. It's contradictory. And there's a lot of people who don't like interracial relationships, and there's nothing wrong with that. We have to understand that as well. There's people who disagree with homosexual relationship. That doesn't mean that they are bashing anyone. There's people who don't like interracial relationships. They're not bashing anyone. They have that right, and there's nothing wrong with loving your own tribe or loving your own people and wanting to see that. And with O'Shea Duke Jackson, of course, he was going to get some negativity with all of the stuff that he's been saying. You can't bring a man who is a African-American woman basher and think that there's going to be some togetherness and love. Is just not. And she basically said that, you know, if somebody has said something negative, which I think people informed her about him, which I'm sure she knew way before she had him on. I do. You can call them out, but don't. In so many words, she was saying, yes, you can call them out, but I guess don't do it on her channel, or just don't do it. That was kind of confusing because it sounded like, you know, she contradicted herself. And she was saying, you know, African Americans are dividing people with our opinions. You know, what was written in the comment section is what's dividing us. She said that African women are complaining about the comments by ignorant African Americans. She said she's not hating, but that's who it is. And my question would be, how does she know that these are African American people? Is she going by the dialogue that she thinks is the way African American people talk? Because there's a lot of trolls, a lot of racists, a lot of alt-right people who are posing as black people. I have caught a few of them on my own channel, which is very small. And I've had to get rid of them, and I've called them out. I've conversated with them under videos and called them out. That's one. And then also, you should expect that talking to people across the diaspora, that there will be a difference of opinion. You know, the whole comment with they don't talk like that in Africa, but she's calling people ignorant. She's saying that they don't use words like idiot and fool when there is a word akata that's basically thrown at African American people that's negative. People say it's like a wildcat. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not a human being. And in this country where we've been labeled 3/5 of a human, and we were no better than animals and treated like we were beasts of the field and labeled that way, you know, you can, that's calling me an animal, and it's disrespectful. And in the Bible, it says that his people are foolish. So how can you be a Bible believer and have a problem with the word fool? When she said the comment about Africans were raised right and we're not like you African Americans, she did step back a little and then said some African Americans were raised right and there are bad-mouthing people on the continent. So she did that to soften the blow. She stated that African women, you know, were telling her that there was an issue, that her channel was so nice and happy and a good place. But it seems like as soon as she started talking about the diaspora and African American people, and also those who feel they are the people of the Bible, as I do, they started to come on her channel. Then it seems like they were saying that it's not that nice happy place anymore, that people were pushing back on some of the things that her African sisters were saying. And I got from what she's saying that the channel, that she wanted them to come back. She wanted the African women to come back, and she was putting out a notice that she is going to get rid of these ignorant African Americans. She was setting these ignorant African Americans straight, and she was going to get them off her channel. And she was saying, you know, there's lots of other channels. You'll find your people, you'll find your tribe. And that was specifically aimed at African American people. And she said with some of the comments, she was wondering how people are in real life, and she wouldn't want to associate herself with people, and we're not going to make it. That's what she said about African Americans, that we're not going to make it, and she wouldn't want to associate with us. Now, people say that when they come over, when they immigrate over, that they are being told not to associate with us, African Americans. Like I said, this language has been going on for a while. You know, it's kind of like the whole thing where they say black people were calling us African booty scratchers, and I'm sure some of them did experience that, but in my experience, that was a branch of colorism that was actually labeled at dark-skinned African American people. To say that, you know, she wouldn't want to associate, that's fine by me, and we're not going to make it, sure. You know, there's no compassion at all for the plight of people and where they live and what they're experiencing at all, when as a Bible believer you should have that for your people. And she also said, which this one is the one that angered me the most, because it's something that I've heard some African women joke about, and it's disgusting. Now, she said, you are still mentally a slave. And then she changed it to mentally enslaved, which that's really fucked up to me, that you would bring that up and say something like that when you're speaking directly to African American people who are still in a form of slavery and really can't get out, have nowhere to run, have nowhere to escape to. And, you know, it begs the question, I wonder why. I wonder why our mentality is the way it is. We didn't just say, you know, we're going to forget about our heritage and who we were, and we're going to take on this mentality after the rape, the abuse, and the negativity and the destruction of us as a people in this nation. And to say something like that is really fucked up, and it's really sick. She talked about hair and makeup, and that's something that is talked about on social media to everyone. And then with Sunday worship, the reason why people don't do Sunday worship is because the Sabbath is not on a Sunday. It is on, some people keep it Saturday, the whole day Saturday. I do Friday evening to Saturday evening. And it's because Sunday worship was ordained by the Christian Catholic Church. And everybody is trying to purge themselves from everything Catholic Christian. And the damage, just knowing the damage that was done, the killing and the murdering underneath that religion, that is why people have such an issue with Sunday worship. And to me, it sounds like she's saying she wants her channel to change. She's going to go in a different direction, and this channel is going to cater to Africans, not African Americans. But I say, when you put yourself out there, you have to have a thick skin, and people comment things that you don't like. People will say things that are nasty and negative, and you cannot label that on one person, because specifically I have called out white people, black people, Spanish speaking people, all types of people who have had something negative to say in a comment. And sometimes I don't even block them because I expect it. I say thank you for the view, and that's it. Your mission should be the first thing on your mind. And how can you bring together the diaspora with a weak mentality that a few comments underneath a video will have you dismiss the people. And from my point of view, this is my point of view, I feel like that, you know, she came on, a lot of people were, you know, getting to know her, and then there's some things now that people disagree, and because people are pushing back, she totally singled out African American people. There's no way that she could know that these are African American people. I do believe some of them were pushing back, but from what I read in the comment section, it wasn't as bad as I've seen in my own comments. And some of the people who were commenting were from Africa, and they didn't like or agree with the Chinese girlfriend, and they also didn't agree with having OSHAY Duke Jackson on there. I feel like Dr. Mumbi has always held these views about African Americans. You know, she's a doctor. She feel like she's educated, and a lot of these negative words come from, you know, foreign-born black people who are educated. And they will come here, they will look down upon black people and ask, you know, American black people, why this? Why haven't you done this? They'll label us as lazy. Like, the same things that come out of white supremacists' mouth will come out of their mouth with a quickness. And some of them are so forgiving and so loving to white people, and they will not even give that level of compassion to African American people. And they will bring up that whole African booty scratcher thing. That's the only thing that I've really heard. Or will have a sort of attitude, or, you know, we're standoffish. We're like that. I mean, I'm like that. I'm standoffish to everybody, regardless. Usually people are just trying to fill you out and see what you're on. But that's usually the only excuse that I hear from them. But then you hear these stereotypes being leveled against African American people. And one thing that disgusted me was Phil from the Advice Show TV. He basically agreed with her. He was saying how he was embarrassed of African Americans going on there acting like that, like we didn't know how to act. I thought that was absolutely disgusting, but I'm not surprised by him at all, seeing where he comes from on YouTube. And to be honest, I do believe that there is this rise in people, even African people, but with black people, that are coming on to social media, creating platforms, asking for donations, and there's a lot of money to be made in this sector. So a lot of people are not here for the right reasons. A lot of people have abandoned the Christian church, and they're looking for something, which I would say, you know, look to the Most High. I believe you can listen to people on here, but take it with a grain of salt. You really have to have a relationship and seek him out for yourself. You can't be so lazy to rely on people on YouTube like we relied on people in the church. And we have to understand that there are snakes in the grass. It's not because the grass is so high and we can't see them and they're hiding. It's because the grass has been cut low, but they look like us and we're very trusting because of that only. And certain people are not here for unity or togetherness. They are here for opportunity. And this seems like a lucrative area for them to be in. But I found the video disrespectful. I am not surprised by it though. But it was disrespectful to African American people, seeing how I am an African American person. But I wanted to take a look at some of the comments made. And this right here, when black men date other races, your fight for Africa is compromised. You cannot share the bed with your enemy that are in Africa to plunder Africa. Thinking it's okay is not okay. China is the new colonizer of Africa. Straighten that brother out, because he is under a delusion that she won. Gonna be by his side through thick and thin. He can take notes from brothers in the US who dated Becky. I'm looking for the disrespect. Queen of Zion. Is this the guy with the Chinese girlfriend? I'm not sure. Sorry, Doc, but he is too lukewarm for my taste. We black people are at a time where we must be willing to make sacrifices and get rid of all interracial relationships with our colonizers. We need to choose sides. You're either with us or against us. I don't believe you can truly be yourself when married to someone of another race. He is not to be trusted. I hate when people say they don't see race. It's just an excuse for them to date outside their race. It doesn't make sense to date into the class that is oppressing you. That is a major contradiction. That's something we as Africans are also going to have to expect. So this woman, let it be known that she's an African. I can't say for 100% sure, but I just wanted to throw out there that there are African people who don't believe that you should be interracially dating, and they spoke their piece as well. This person said that they subscribed to him, and then when they found out he was in an interracial relationship, they unsubscribed. And this person said he doesn't see race. And this man said, my man, you cannot talk and move black while sleeping Chinese. Very compromising. Either she will draw you or you will draw her, and she is not going to be down for the cause because she has no allegiance or investments to Africans. You lost me after that confession. This guy is disqualified. I'm still looking for the nasty cussing. I haven't even ran by coon yet. And people could say maybe she got rid of those comments. Possibly. And this person said, I'm glad people in the comment section are pushing back on this guy for sleeping Chinese and talking pro-African. People were thumbing down the video because of his interracial dating and saying that he's a sellout and he's canceled. I'm still looking for coon. I'm still looking for the disrespect, because people have been commenting on this for a while. Now I'll leave it with this person. They said, I think all these pro-African, pro-black men have girlfriends who are not black or are mixed. They are so fake, and they always hide their women just like Phil. If mixed with other nations is not a problem, what are we here for? Let them into Africa and we just do what black Americans try to do, be oppressed and try to mix with them. Oh God, black people, we just don't have enough men who really think like Asians and whites for their own. I have never seen a conservative Asian or white with a black girlfriend, because it just doesn't make sense. Only to black man. Sounds like someone from Africa. And personally, I do. A lot of the pro-black stuff is pro-black male only. And they can have mixed women, white women, you know, any non-black woman, and still be pro-black for whatever reason. No standard. It says here from OSHAY, thank you, Dr. Mumbi, for the hospitality in this interview. I will be in the comment section tearing these Negroes behinds who are talking shit about me. A lot of African American keyboard warriors. So that lets you know that they are doubling down on this is African American that are saying this, and they have something against African American people, and they are going to single out and go after and talk about and tear apart African American people. They are about bringing together the diaspora. Okay. He said it's not nearly as bad as WODE Maya's interview, but it's there. Tell these people who have an issue with me to take their anger out by sending you a donation. He said, I know how to deal with these niggas, just wait for it. You know, it's disgusting language. It really is. There's a lot of people wondering why he's calling African American people niggas. You know, it's like a downgrading of Black American people just to pander to an African audience that may see African Americans in a negative light. And then you start to hear the negative language. I'm hearing more negative language aimed at some African Americans that are commenting in the comment section. This person had an issue with conversation being that, you know, Africa may not be for all African Americans, and that we should point out maybe America is not for all Africans. And then someone commented saying, you know, let me know when you take control of America. And then he came back and said, you know, let me know when your country does the same, without the help of China, US, India, or other European nations. And then under that, someone said something about, again, Black Americans not having a culture. Now, you even have some Black men saying, not this Negro here, he's not to be trusted. And this person is saying OSHAY doesn't even like Black women like that. To me, what I am assessing from all of this is, you know, I watch people's behavior, I listen to what they say, and then I put them in a group. I see how they move, I see the people that they move with, who they connect with, and the things that they say. As far as I'm concerned, I don't need to subscribe to this channel. It looks like this channel is not for me. I feel like as an African American woman, I don't have to be insulted. I don't have to listen to someone who would insult, you know, my group of people. We get enough of this from the dominant society living in this country. We then do not have to bow down and have to deal with the piles of bullshit that other people who look like us from foreign countries have to say about us, because they're brainwashed, because they believe, you know, something that a white person said to them, or for their own prejudices. I don't have to listen to someone who feels like they're better than because they're so-called educated. And some of them even come over here, you know, after us fighting for our civil rights and everything else, to allow them to be able to come over here, for them to come over here and get whatever they need. And then, you know, some of them talking about leave and going back home. You know, I don't believe that African American people should allow other people to abuse them. We've been abused enough in this country. We've been abused for 400 years, and we should not allow people who are seeking an opportunity, or they are an opportunist, to come over and then start abusing us as well. And just because they have skin like ours, we go ahead and take it. Because I have heard this from people from Haiti, Jamaica, different places, where they will talk negative about Black American people while being in America, which is some bullshit to me. Like, okay, you want to talk shit, you've got your education over here, you got, you know, opportunity here, you came over here, and a lot of the stuff that you have access to is via the descendants of slaves. But then you talk shit about those same people. So, you know, this is just someone who I'll have to just get them out of my recommends. You know, it's kind of like a Tommy Sotomayor, all of the black women bashers. You know, there's other people who say some nasty stuff about black people, just downright disgusting, and I get them out of my recommends. They are not about black unity. They are opportunistic, and they are very disrespectful. And I'll go ahead and end it right here. Let me know what you think about this situation. Let me know if you watch the video, what you think about the video, if you agree that it was disrespectful, or let me know why you think it's not. And I will see you in the next one.
But I wasn't